Hi YouTubers, it's Fortune Cookie 45 LC coming to you with another chapter of the Fortune Cookie in America and his guns. Well, World War II was finished and all the troops came home. It was a time to rebuild. A time to rebuild the population also. The generation that was born after World War II is called the baby boomers. And by the year 1955, the baby boomers were all young children. The time was perfect for the merging of the new generation of American families with a new medium of television and a young and creative entertainer named Walt Disney. Walt created Disneyland in 1955, and the American automobile made it possible for the many people from all over the country to visit. And Disneyland was a marvelous place of enchantment and romance. Speaking of romance, the Old West was a tremendous attraction for the new generation of American families. Bill Ruger also brought out his tremendously successful Ruger Black Hawk revolver in 1955. So you see, it was a completely different time. In those days, guns were completely mainstream and intertwined in the life of American families, to the point that Mattel, the toy maker, created an ingenious business link with Disney. Mattel appealed directly to the children of that time with a whole line of cap guns, toy guns. And this is where Fortune Cookie in America and his guns comes in. There were times that I remember my father's friends came over to the house and they brought their guns with them because they wanted to talk guns. And of course I couldn't be allowed to be in that conversation. I was too young. But I could see the Colt Cobra 6-shot 38 and the boxes of ammunition and a Browning 32 automatic, I remember, where the ammo was all those nice, bright, shiny, copper-colored full metal jacket bullets, and my father's 38 revolver, and the friends talked for hours. And my dad worked hard. He learned his trade as a butcher when he was working in the Central Valley on the farms, and I remember him telling me about how the farm owners would take Mauser rifles, 8mm, and go out to the back and shoot loquats off the trees just for practice. And there wasn't much danger of hitting anyone, even though the bullets were going into the air, because there weren't that many people in Central Valley in those days. Well, Mattel had this wonderful line of guns called their Shootin' shell models, and I had to have them. So I asked my dad to get me these for toys, for various things like birthdays and Christmas, this kind of thing. And one of the first ones I got was the Mattel Shootin' Shell Fanner 45. And it modeled after the Colt, of course, Single Action Army. And here's a view of it. The entire line of toy guns was made possible by the Mattel Shootin' Shell. And what the Shootin' Shell was toy ammunition that was composed of a greeny stickum cap, which was applied to the back of the cartridge case, almost like a primer. And the case had a powerful spring inside, held into the case by a crimped mouth. And that crimp also created a ridge inside that allowed the bullet to have catches to attach and be held in place. Now the two little plastic legs here compressed the spring. Now when this was fired, the hammer hit the cap, setting it off, and the shell was pushed into the chamber that had a ridge inside that hit these two little tabs and released the bullet. Ingenious. Now you bought the ammo in these packs, 25 bullets and 3 cartridge cases. And if you got 2 packs, you had enough cartridge cases to fill the cylinder of your 6-shooter. Well, all these bullets are reusable, and it's almost like reloading. In fact, it's reloading. So I reloaded my own toy ammunition. Now you can bet that I had plenty of ammo. These greeny stickum caps was almost like putting a primer on the back of the cartridge case. But I didn't go for the greeny stickum caps because I wanted to save my money to buy more ammo. And besides, I like the idea of being suppressed. So here are the guns I own. The Fanner 45 shooting shell. Great gun. It handled and loaded just like a real Colt single-action army. Just like all the heroes we saw on the small screen, the shooting shell Fanner 45 was the exact copy of all that we saw. Now, for a rifle, I had Mattel's shooting shell version of the Remington rolling block Buffalo gun. And the way this worked, just like a Remington rolling block, you would cock the hammer, then roll the block open, load in your shell, close the block, and then you could fire. And it was accurate. In a room distance, you could pick off cowboys and Indians and knock down teepees made out of playing cards, shooting playing cards, even back then when I was a kid. Here's a close-up of that rolling block Remington Mattel shooting shell Buffalo gun. Here's a kid with a shooting shell gun I didn't own. That's a Mattel version of the 1873 Winchester. Didn't have that one. However, I did have this Mattel shooting shell version of the Remington Derringer. Shades of Paladin. Have gun will travel. Well, back in those days, we used to go around the neighborhood shooting everything in sight with our shooting shells, and no one thought anything bad of it. And adults would have shooting shells bouncing off them, and they thought that was the neatest thing in the world. And we used to carry these guns at Halloween in schools, and it was great. Nowadays, guns are like poison in schools. Poison. So that if you even make a toy gun with your fingers and make sounds of shooting, you get called to the principal's office. They want to correct that behavior right away, because they don't want children to be deranged. We did a lot of that shooting shell stuff, and very few of the baby boomers turned into deranged maniacs. Now all these toys are long gone, but never far from memory. YouTubers out there, Fortune Cookie in America and his guns, started out with Mattel shooting shells. Bye for now.